Imagine yourself in a dimly lit war room somewhere in France, late November 1944. The walls are nothing more than bare plaster or canvas stretched over wooden frames. A few naked light bulbs dangle from wires, casting stark shadows over the room. The air is thick with the smell of cigarette smoke, stale coffee, and damp wool drying near a small, sputtering stove. Outside, snowflakes drift down quietly, softening the landscape. Inside, chaos of a different kind dominates. Maps cover every available surface. Tables, walls, clipboards. Blue arrows chart Allied positions. Red symbols mark known German units. Dotted lines trace supply routes and phase lines. Dear friends, if this video has reached you, it's not by chance. Right now, click the subscribe button and the notification bell. Write a number from 1 to 5 in the comments. I will personally respond to the first 50 comments, and make sure to watch the video until the end. Over the main map table stands General George S. Patton. At 59, he is lean, restless, a whirlwind of energy. His hands sweep across the paper, as if sheer will could propel the units forward. His voice cuts sharply through the room, impatient, demanding, insistent. Push east, deeper into Germany. End this war by Christmas. Around him, staff officers shuffle papers, take notes, exchange fleeting glances. They know the mood. Forward. Always forward. Yet in one corner, at a smaller, quieter desk, sits a man almost invisible in comparison. Colonel Oscar W. Koch, Patton's chief intelligence officer, sifts through intelligence reports, typed summaries, interrogation transcripts, aerial photos, unit logs. His glasses reflect the dim light. Calm, measured, deliberate, he is about to speak words that no one wants to hear. Clearing his throat, he rises. Patton looks up. "Sir," Koch begins, his voice steady. "I believe the Germans are preparing a major counteroffensive, possibly through the Ardennes soon." A stifled laugh ripples through the room. Heads shake. Everyone knows the war is nearly over. Germany is broken. Hitler is running out of fuel, tanks, men. The notion of a large-scale winter attack through the Ardennes, held by weary American troops on rest, seems absurd. Yet Patton does not laugh. He studies Koch, questions him, listens, and in that moment, he makes a decision that will save thousands of lives. How does a war get won when the loudest man in the room listens to the quietest voice, trusting it when no one else does? Patton was born for noise and spectacle. From childhood, he was enthralled by military history, by glory, by combat as a crucible of character. West Point shaped him further. The 1912 Olympics tested his resolve. He served under Pershing in World War I, commanding tanks, the new, thrilling machines that blended speed and firepower. Between the wars, he studied, wrote, devoured strategy. For Patton, war was movement, aggression, shock. Hesitation killed more men than boldness ever could. By World War II, he was renowned, brilliant, mercurial, profane, relentless, a commander who drove his soldiers faster than the enemy could react. Oscar Koch, by contrast, was born to be quiet. He sought no spotlight. Intelligence work, often dismissed, even mocked, became his craft. Analysis, deduction, connecting dozens of fragments into a coherent picture. This was his art. He learned to distrust hope masquerading as evidence, and to recognize the deadliest enemy, the one you choose to ignore. From North Africa to Sicily, then France, Koch became Patton's G2. Despite their contrasts, a bond formed. Patton trusted Koch because Koch spoke truth, not flattery. Koch trusted Patton because he acted on uncomfortable truths rather than ignoring them. By late 1944, this partnership would face a trial neither anticipated. Summer 1944 had been a season of triumph. After the breakout from Normandy and Operation Cobra, Patton's Third Army stormed across France, liberating towns, scattering German units, capturing fuel depots, taking thousands of prisoners. Distances that had once taken months were traversed in days. Newspapers adored him. Aggressive, profane, unstoppable Patton became the emblem of American armored warfare. As autumn slipped into winter and the Third Army neared Germany's border, Allied high command grew complacent. Germany was depleted, her armies in retreat, Hitler desperate. Intelligence estimates suggested little capacity for offensive action. Optimism and exhaustion settled over planning rooms. Peace at Christmas seemed almost certain. But at Third Army headquarters, Koch worked in quiet vigilance. Long after evening briefings, he combed through reports. Prisoners mentioning phantom divisions, radio intercepts, buzzing in previously silent sectors, aerial photos of trains moving west, supply depots under construction, roads repaired in areas deemed empty of German forces. Logistics hinted at fuel and ammunition stockpiles in the Ardennes, a hilly, forested region straddling Belgium and Germany, thinly held by American units resting from prior battles. Alone, none of this was conclusive. But Koch saw patterns where others saw noise. Over days, he marked every sighting, movement, and logistics note on maps. Slowly, an unsettling image emerged. The Germans were not collapsing. They were regrouping, quietly, methodically, moving armor, infantry, artillery into position opposite the Ardennes. Koch's training taught him to measure enemy capability, not merely intent. And as he traced the lines on the map, the quiet truth became terrifyingly clear. The question wasn't whether Hitler would attempt something reckless. The real question, Koch realized, was far more dangerous. Could he? Could the Führer muster the strength for one final, desperate gamble? And the answer chilled him. Yes, he could. Hitler had the capacity to strike one winter offensive that might tear apart the Allied lines, reclaim crucial ground, even push all the way to the coast. A gamble born of sheer desperation. But we all know the truth. Desperate men are the deadliest of all. Koch finished his painstaking analysis. Every figure checked, every report scrutinized. He prepared his briefing. And then, with measured steps, he walked into General Patton's office, fully aware of the skepticism awaiting him. He knew his words would sound like paranoia to almost everyone else. Patton listened. Not a word of interruption, not a flicker of dismissal. His eyes were fixed on the map as Koch methodically laid out the evidence. Missing divisions, the buildup of logistics, the eerie silence along stretches of the front. When Koch finally finished, Patton leaned back, absorbed in thought. Then he asked the question everyone feared. "How certain are you?" Koch did not hedge. "I cannot be certain," he admitted, "but the capability exists. The conditions favor it. Surprise? Weather that will ground our air support. A weak section of our line." Patton nodded slowly, absorbing the implications. Around the room, officers shifted uneasily. One suggested Koch was reading too much into thin data. Another reminded everyone that higher command did not share this grim assessment. Patton raised a hand, and silence fell. He looked directly at Koch. "If you're right and we do nothing, we lose men. If you're wrong and we prepare, we lose some time and effort." His voice hardened. "Draw up contingency plans. If the Germans hit the Ardennes, I want Third Army ready to swing north and strike them in the flank. Not in a week, in days, maybe hours if we can manage it." The staff exchanged incredulous glances. Turn an entire army 90 degrees in winter on the chance of an attack most consider improbable. Yet Patton's tone brooked no argument. Get it done. And so, in the nights that followed, the staff of Third Army headquarters labored tirelessly. Movement orders were drawn, fuel requirements calculated, supply routes mapped, assembly points established. Arrows on maps once pointing east were now redrawn north. Most believed these plans would never see the light of day, dismissing them as another expression of Patton's audacious imagination. Yet the plans were ready. The clock was ticking. Then, December 16th, 1944, just before dawn, along an 80-mile front in the Ardennes, German artillery erupted. Thousands of shells rained down on American positions. In the thick darkness and fog, German infantry and armored columns surged forward, striking thinly defended sectors. Units were overrun, communications severed. Chaos spread like wildfire. By midday, Allied headquarters was flooded with reports. Massive attack, multiple breakthroughs, American units falling back, some surrounded. Shock gripped the Supreme Headquarters. This was not supposed to happen. Intelligence had said Germany lacked the capacity. Yet here it was, the largest German winter offensive in the West since 1940. Historians would later call it an intelligence failure. At 3rd Army Headquarters, there was no shock. Patton's eyes met Koch's. There was no triumph, no "I told you so." Only grim recognition. Koch had been right. Within hours, Patton was on the phone with higher command, offering to disengage and strike north into the German flank. Skepticism greeted him. "How soon can you move?" they asked. 48 hours, Patton replied. 3 divisions. It sounded impossible. Armies do not pivot on a dime. Logistics, coordination, weather. These things take time. But the plans were ready. Fuel was allocated, routes mapped, orders drafted. All that remained was execution. And so, in the bitter December cold, as snow fell and roads turned to ice, the 3rd Army began to move. Imagine being a soldier in one of those divisions. You've been fighting for weeks, months even. You're exhausted. Your unit has suffered casualties. You dream of a few days' rest, hot food, letters from home. And then, in the dead of night, orders come. Pack up, move north. No explanation, no debate. Just go. You climb into a truck, canvas flaps flapping in the wind, breath fogging in the freezing air. Roads are slick, headlights dimmed, convoys stretching for miles into the darkness. Tanks slide on ice, supply trucks break down, soldiers huddle for warmth. Brutal, exhausting, but it works. In less than 3 days, Patton's 3rd Army had pivoted from eastward attack to northward relief operation, covering over 100 miles. December 26th, lead elements break through to Bastogne, relieving American paratroopers who had held the town against staggering odds. The German offensive, which at its peak carved a 50-mile deep bulge into Allied lines, began to collapse under attacks from north, south, and west. By late January, the bulges were erased. Germany had lost men, tanks, fuel they could never replace. The war would rage a few more bloody months, but the outcome was clear. Thousands of American soldiers, encircled, outnumbered, freezing in foxholes, owed their survival not only to Patton's speed and audacity, but to one quiet intelligence officer who had seen the storm coming and refused to look away. Oscar Koch does not appear in photographs from the Bastogne relief. He gave no press conferences. His name did not fill the headlines. He remained at 3rd Army Headquarters, quietly updating maps, tracking the shrinking red symbols of German units. After the war, historians would ask why the Allies missed the signs. Koch knew the truth. The signs were there. The information existed. The failure was not in collection. It was in evaluation, belief, and the courage to act on an uncomfortable truth. In the late 1960s, Koch co-wrote a book with journalist Robert Allen, laying out his methods, philosophy, and account of the weeks before the Bulge. Some called him Patton's oracle, the man who saw the future when others were blind. Koch never saw himself as a prophet. He saw himself as a professional who did his duty, judged enemy capabilities honestly, and warned those who needed to know. Patton's legend only grew after the war. The aggressive general who raced across Europe, who slapped soldiers, who gave fiery speeches, who believed in reincarnation as a warrior. He died in December 1945, just months after the war, buried among his soldiers. Koch lived a quieter life, retiring, writing, reflecting, honored by those who understood intelligence, but largely unknown to the public. Yet in the story of the Battle of the Bulge, these two men were inseparable. Patton's boldness meant nothing without Koch's foresight. Koch's analysis meant nothing without Patton's willingness to act. Together, they saved lives. Now consider this. In every life, yours, mine, anyone's there, are two kinds of people. The bold, the loud, the impatient, who demand action. And the quiet, the observant, the thoughtful, who notice what others ignore and whisper. Something is wrong. Wars are won or lost, depending on whether the loud man listens to the quiet one. Companies rise or collapse, depending on whether the executive heeds the analyst. Families survive or fracture, depending on whether someone listens to the warning voice. Who is your Koch? And are you a Patton only when it feels good, only when it suits your plan, or also when it demands turning everything around? Admitting the comfortable story is wrong. The lesson of Patton and Koch is not about tanks, maps, or battles. It is about trust, moral courage, and the bravery to act on an uncomfortable truth. Thousands walked out of the Ardennes alive because one general listened to one intelligence officer. How many disasters have occurred because leaders refuse to listen? George Patton's greatest act may not have been on the battlefield. It may have been looking at a quiet man with stacks of reports and saying, "I believe you. Let's prepare." Oscar Koch's legacy is not in headlines or monuments, but in the thousands who came home because one analyst refused to tell his commander what he wanted to hear and told him what he needed to know. That is responsibility. That is courage. And that is the question that lingers long after the story ends. When the quiet voice speaks in your life, will you listen or wait until the storm is upon you?